Hello children, Om Namah Shivaya. In this video, we are going to read about the heterotrophic nutrition in plants. In my last video, I asked you a question, do animals carry out photosynthesis? Now all of you must have got your answer. Because animals lack chlorophyll, so they cannot carry out photosynthesis. So animals are heterotrophs. Now there are some plants which do not have chlorophyll, so they cannot prepare their own food. Example of such plants are Coscuta, the yellow tubular pipes hanging from the tree, and mushrooms. They exhibit heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Now try to remember the definition of heterotrophs. Organisms which take in ready-made food prepared by the plants are called heterotrophs. Now let us discuss the types of heterotrophic plants. First is parasitic or parasites, second is saprophytes or saprotrophs, third is insectivorous plants, fourth is symbiotic plants. Parasites in detail. Look to the picture. This is the picture of Coscuta. It is called as amarbel locally. See how these yellow tubular structures are twining around the big tree. It does not have chlorophyll. So it takes or rather sucks the ready-made food from the plant on which it is climbing. Since it deprives the tree from the valuable nutrients, it is called a parasite. An animal or plant on which a parasite grows is known as its host. Here the big tree is the host and the parasitic plant is Coscuta. Here are some examples of animal parasites. They suck blood from human. So, animal is a parasite and humans are the host for them. Let us move to saprotrophs or saprophytes, our second group of heterotrophic plants. Try one activity. Take a piece of bread, moisten it with water, then place it in a dark place for 2-3 days. Then you can see such green or black patches on the bread. These patches are fungi. Fungi exhibit a different mode of nutrition. They secrete digestive juices on the dead and decaying matter and convert it into a solution. Then they absorb the nutrients from it. This mode of nutrition, in which organisms take in nutrients in solution form from dead and decaying organic matter, is called saprotrophic nutrition. Remember, dead and decaying organic matter. Plants which use saprotrophic mode of nutrition are called saprotrophs. Let us discuss about another saprotroph. It is edible. Not only me, you also love to eat it. From the picture, you have already got its name. It is mushroom. Now the mouth-watering dishes. Mushroom pizza, chili mushroom, mushroom soup. Wow! This mushroom is also a saprotroph. It grows on rotting wood during rainy season in patches like fluffy umbrella. Nowadays, they are cultivated and sold in packets. They fade in the same way as the fungus in bread. There are many varieties of mushrooms. Some are edible while others are poisonous. So, do not try to eat any mushroom you see, only those which are being sold in market. Now, try to remember the activity done with bread. You just kept a bread and the fungus appeared. What do you think? It was there from before? No. Fungal spores generally present in the air. When they land on wet and warm things, they germinate and grow. So, leather articles show white patches and clothes give out an odd smell when not used for a long time. Even they grow on pickles. If you have not seen till now, ask your mother to show you. Some fungi are useful like yeast and mushroom. Yeast is used in cakes to make it fluffy. Fungi causes diseases both in plants and animals. In animals, they cause diseases such as rashes. In plants, you must have marked the yellow and white patches that grows on pumpkin leaves. Some fungi are also used in making medicine and vaccines. Now come to the third group of heterotrophic plants, that is insectivorous plants. Amazing! Plant eating insects. There are a few plants which can feed on insects. These are called as insectivorous plants. Look at the pictures. Some of them are pitcher plant, Venus flytrap and cobra lily. This may be green or some other color. Now let us discuss how a pitcher plant feeds on an insect. Look to the picture of the pitcher plant. The pitcher like or jug like structure develops from the apex of the leaf. This has a cover just like a jug has. Inside the pitcher there are hair like structures which are directed downwards. When an insect lands on the border of the pitcher, it falls in the jug like structure because it is slippery. The hair pull them downwards. The lid closes. The insect is trapped. Then the plant digests the insect by secreting digestive juices. Now the pitcher plant is green and it carries out photosynthesis. Then why does it need to feed on insects? Because such plants do not get all the required nutrients from the soil in which they grow. So they are partially heterotrophs. Mark the word nutrient. We are going to discuss about them later in this video. Now we will discuss about the symbiotic plants. Some organisms live together and share shelter and nutrients. In other words, both of them help each other and live. This is called symbiotic relationship. Example, lichens. In lichens, an alga and a fungus live together. The fungus provides shelter, water and minerals to the alga. The alga prepares food by photosynthesis and provides nourishment to the fungus. In this way, they depend on each other. One more example of symbiotic relationship is seen between Rhizobium bacteria and leguminous plants. We will discuss them later in this video. Now let us discuss how nutrients are replenished in the soil. First of all, let us know what are the major nutrients needed by the plants. They are nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus. I repeat, the nutrients are nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus. Out of these three nutrients, nitrogen is the most important one because they are used to make proteins, and we know plants needs protein for their growth. So after every crop, the amount of nutrients becomes less in soil. We have 78% of nitrogen around us in the atmosphere. It is a huge quantity, but plants cannot absorb gaseous nitrogen. They need it in a usable form in the soil so that they can absorb through roots. Fertilizers and manures contain these nutrients in a large quantity. So farmers add them to their field time to enrich the soil. Now we will discuss about Rhizobium bacteria and leguminous plants. Legume means pulse. So example of leguminous plants are gram, peas, moong, beans. What is the name of the bacteria? Rhizobium. we already know that plants cannot absorb gaseous nitrogen. They need it in a soluble form. This Rhizobium bacteria can take atmospheric nitrogen and convert it into a usable form. Now, what is the connection between the Rhizobium bacteria and leguminous plants? This bacteria cannot make its own food, so it lives in the roots of the leguminous plants. Now, Rhizobium provides nitrogen compounds to the plant, and the plant in return provide food and shelter to the bacteria. So, it is another example of symbiotic relationship, isn't it? Both of them are living together by sharing and caring for each other. Now, one more importance. For leguminous plants, farmers do not need to add nitrogen fertilizer to the soil. The soil is fertilized naturally. With this, we come to the end of the chapter. In this chapter, we have discussed the following topics: nutrition and types of nutrition, then photosynthesis, types of heterotrophic plants, how nutrients are replenished in the soil, and importance of leguminous plants. I hope you must have enjoyed it. Thank you so much for your interest and attention. Bye bye children, and Om Namah Shivaya.